give, like, for the people who don't know you, just a brief introduction into who you guys are and how you guys got here to your places where you are.
Go on, Mike, you go first, mate.
No, you go first because I'm going to share this to a few pages. So
Okay, cool.
get in there.
My name's James. I am an exercise science background. Worked in a few semi-elite team sports over the years. My passion is conditioning for field-based sports, but I also now have moved across into business development for Iron Edge.
How did that? Well, actually, I'll pause that. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Michael, I know you own a facility in Melbourne.
Yep.
Give a background on that, if you don't mind.
The short version.
Yes.
I'll try to keep it brief to a point. So I co-own Melbourne Fitness and Performance, where I'm sitting right now. I wish I was in there. Unfortunately, we're not allowed in our facilities at the moment. So virtual background for the start of this webinar. But I co-own it with two of my good mates who are also coaches as well, Mitch Craze and Mitch Greaves. So we work together now. That's been a process of the last 3 years of hard work to get to where we are now. And now we're trying to push forward more into the rehab and strength and conditioning fields as our primary operations of business, and a lot of stuff and a lot of awesome things happening at our facility down that pathway. But to get there, the journey was, like everyone, start at uni, get my first job, gym instructor, and then take any opportunity I could get to get experience in the field of strength and conditioning, leading me down the path of a 4 years after my degree to go back, do my master's, continue that path, keep working, trying to get elite sport. Knocked on the door plenty of times, was right there a few times, and then just missed out at the last hurdle. Someone else gets the gig, and then got the opportunity into the private industry to work. Thought it was a good opportunity to sort of go down that pathway, had a big interest in American sports and things they were doing over there, and wanted to sort of go into this path of working for yourself and running your own facility and business. And yeah, then just took the leap of faith, actually with a different business owner, partner, back in the day, Christina. So shout out to her. Wouldn't have done this without her back then. So she has no interest at all in this stuff. She didn't really care for it, but wanted to help me and believed in my vision and wanted to jump on board. And now she's living a luxury life in Santorini.
Really? Love that.
Not too bad turnaround over that for her. But it's been a process of always taking every opportunity, never saying no, and taking the best out of it all, pushing forward to constantly evolving your coaching skill set and your network so that you have a big network to pull from. So wasn't a rush. I wasn't in a rush. I think that's important to really let people know. To push forward in this industry, you don't want to rush. Rushing into trying to open a facility early on in your career is a silly move. You need to go out and work with others to learn, to get ideas, to develop like work ethic and behaviors. And then that will help develop your coaching philosophy. And I think it is important to have a few jobs like at different places and to bridge off and do different things. Whether you work mainly at one facility, but be off and doing other things in our industry is crucial to your development as a coach. So all those experiences will help you, and then you'll find your path, because there's a lot of pathways within this industry, and just owning a facility or working elite is not all there is. There's plenty of other things you can be doing.
I wonder then, that's a really good kind of opening up of the conversation. I wonder, how do you guys know when it's right to take that next step? Like, James, how did you know when it was right to step up in that position at Iron Edge, or even like you guys can talk about in regards to whether you've thought about opening up your own other facilities in the past or the future? And Michael, how did you know, and what do you tell to those young trainers who also so many want to start gyms? Like, what do you think of the prerequisites? Like, how do you really know whether the time is right?
I think it's different for different people. I mean, we all want different things out of this industry. It depends on your motivation for why you get involved in it. I think we all start off with a pure passion for exercise training, physiology, anatomy, things like that. And then we all sort of, for exposing ourselves to as many different variations or as many different fields in that industry as possible, you eventually find one that resonates with you the most. With me, you know, I've tried team sport, individual sport. I've been private, you know, I've done a range of different things. I've done research. And I think for me, just the commercial side and the scalability of what I do and having a bigger impact over the equipment that we use within the industry from an actual strength and conditioning coach's viewpoint was what resonated with me, but it'll be different for everyone out there, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many opportunities and so many sort of ways you can go once you've done an exercise science degree, and you have to kind of go and test a few. So I went down the path of learning a bit more about nutrition. I've done all the stuff to do with rehabilitation, like chronic injury stuff to a degree, to a point. And I've also then done education, worked at a university, Cert 3 and 4. And coaching was always the one that I wanted to go back to the most. And then having my own facility was something that came later once I had all the skills and I knew that I could develop all the content, all the systems and things in place. And they're still not perfect because learning the back end business side of business is crucial. And there isn't any super short courses on that yet, but I'm sure there'll be some soon, because those things as a coach are things that we don't look into as much. So from my perspective, it's like everyone says, you have to put time into anything to be good at your craft. You're not a specialist from day one. You've got a little bit of knowledge. Sometimes that's dangerous. That's great. Just be humble in your approach to continually develop your ideas and concepts, because something will come out and prove what you were thinking 3 months ago wrong, and something will be better. And it's constantly evolving, and to keep up with it and to try and preach just one way is starting to fall over. You can't just go, this is the only way. This is what we have to do. You have to be multifaceted, and you have to understand a lot of different elements in order to be the best coach you can be. So people used to say you have to specialize. There's definitely opportunity for specialists. You can be a specialist speed coach. You can be a specialist strength coach. You can be a specialist conditioning coach. You can be a specialist mental coach. But what we're seeing now is that you need to have skills in all those areas. So you've got to be able to develop them, and that takes time. You can't just go, I'm going to be good at this thing tomorrow. You have to go spend as much time as you can, and it might take a year or two, and then you move on to the next. And then you constantly keep topping up the stuff that you've been learning whilst you keep learning new things. And I think it's just a process. And eventually you have to take a risk. No risk, no reward. But you want to go with a calculated risk, knowing that you can back yourself in. And I feel like just spending a little bit extra time before you go for that top of the line job or opening your own facility is crucial to your development.
Okay. So
you've got to try everything, don't you? You just need to go out and work with as many different coaches from as many different backgrounds and sports and institutions as possible. And the more you expose yourself to, the quicker you're going to find your little niche or your little section of the industry which you're particularly passionate about. And it has to be something that you're really passionate about, you're interested in, because it makes the transition a lot easier. It's not a chore to learn and develop yourself in that field. It's a passion. It's something you love, and therefore you'll be good at it. But I mean, I interned in 5, 6, 7 different places, worked for 6 or 7 different organizations, and worked with so many different coaches until I found what I wanted to do. If you'd asked me week 1, day 1 at university if this is where I was going to end up, nah, because I didn't know what was out there. You've got to try it all, and then your options will show themselves. What you want to do.
What was that feeling like for you guys? Like, how did you know this was the thing that you guys wanted to? Like, once you found that, got to that point, like, what was that feeling?
You just feel like you're home. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're searching for something. You're trying to find your own little niche. You're trying to carve out your own little niche, but you know, it just doesn't quite fit. But as soon as you hit it, you just know. You love getting out of bed in the morning. You love going to work, and it just feels right. There's no other way to explain it to me.
Yeah, it's the environment that of something where you just exactly right. You feel at home. You feel comfortable. You can do your best work. It doesn't feel like a chore. If you have to work long hours, you enjoy it. So if that's something that is happening, if you're resenting the work ethic to get forward, it's not the right place for you. So if you're not enjoying the work, then it's probably the wrong pathway. You need to find something else, because although there's always a little bit of stuff we don't enjoy as much as the other part, you've got to find a way to enjoy all aspects of it to some degree, because at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you do, it will come across to the people that you're with, and then your environment will be bad, and a poor environment leads to unhappiness, which will mean that you're not in the right spot and you won't do what you can do.
Absolutely. Well said. Now you both are in, well, we're all in unique situations, but James, you especially with Iron Edge, you got, just like all these other gym equipment companies, you guys have had huge spikes in demand, right? But supply obviously wasn't necessarily prepared for the huge demand. I wonder, there's so many points to touch on, but as a business, how have you guys been managing the overwhelm of, the huge spike in demand? How's that been?
This is a good point to touch on, because, we are copping a bit of stick from customers at the moment for taking a while to get back to people. But just to give you a little bit of context, we have probably one of the strongest manufacturer and supply chains out of the majority of equipment companies in Australia. We're one of the oldest and most efficient companies, but there's no way we could ever have predicted the amount of demand that has come, particularly on March 23rd, when, we were up 5 to 10 times as many orders as we would normally get and we're a small crew. We're a scaled business. We're a purely online business now. A lot of our staff are contractors. We're a small element in HQ, and it just hit us so hard. So we're lucky we've got the logistics and manufacturing chain that we do, but we've actually hired 5 strength coaches who weren't working at the time. So through my network, and I'll give a shout out to a couple of the guys, Chris Ross, James Ballantyne, Dylan Bickley as well, and Jess Ryan. So all the strength coaches whose other work was down. So we've got them in the office now, and literally our admin team has grown 4 or 5 times as much in the last couple of months just to meet demand. But, our manufacturer is pumping stuff out for, pumping out as much equipment as they can. But yeah, it's just a slow process. We're clearing most of the orders out now and starting to be, in a good position with stock. But yeah, there was just no way to see it coming. It's been absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it before.
The systems that you guys have, what do you think they are that have kept you guys performing so strongly throughout the years, and even in this time? You said your manufacturing, your supply chain processes. I think even though I don't, as a coach and health professional, as many people listening, they might not be able to relate, but I think there are actual tangible systems and lessons that you can take from all these different businesses. So what is Iron Edge's version that has kept them strong in this?
That's a good point. And, I think that where I am today, I've done a lot of different jobs over the year. And out of every single one of those jobs, I've taken some sort of processes or some sort of skills or attributes out of it, which I apply. And I think everyone's the same. So there's definitely some lessons to be learned from this. We've got a good captain at the head of the ship, Rick Ravensdale. He heads up Iron Edge. It's his business, and he's a very dynamic thinker. He responds very quickly. He makes good decisions, and he leads the team really well. But also we've got, with our hires and taking on the staff that we have in the last couple of months, we've hired people with good intelligence, flexibility. They're dynamic. They know the industry inside and out and know the equipment inside and out as well. So straight away, they were able to jump on phones, emails, deal with customers and speak knowledgeably about, what's happening, what the equipment is, how best to use it, and guide people. Because what we've found is the majority of our business coming in is not existing customers. These are actually people that haven't been exposed to Iron Edge in the past. The lockdown caused everyone to lock down and isolate in their houses, and everyone wants a home gym. So these aren't people that are currently in our database. So these are people who are probably relatively inexperienced with equipment. And having the ability of the coaches that are in the office to be able to speak knowledgeably from an experienced background has helped straight away. But also, yeah, everyone's quite dynamic. Everyone's able to do little bits and pieces of everything. We've got a strong team down there, and I think if I'm to put anything down to my experiences in life, the most important thing is the people. It's got nothing to do with the product and what your tasking is. If you get good people in, good people will be flexible. They'll be intelligent enough to pivot and meet whatever the demand is, and you're always going to be successful.
I think
couldn't agree more. Sorry, I couldn't agree more. The team and the community and the people you have around you and what you instill in them and what they instill in you is crucial. Like unexpected things like this, like you can't plan for. You have to react, repair, improve. That's what we made our model around. So first thing we had to do, react. Holy shit, let's do something. What are we going to do? And I tried to reach out to James and said, can I get some special equipment orders for some of my athletes and clients?
Really? It was a no. You couldn't
do it.
Really?
We got nothing. We were cleaned out within hours.
So react, do what we could. So we just gave out all our equipment. Our coaches instantly got on, created new programs, create new live workout streams, and our members and clients and athletes got around it. And then we try to repair it, make it better, and improve the model so that we had strategies going forward. Not expecting 10 days after we get to open again to lock down again. Probably should have planned a little bit around that and try to get a little bit more equipment for people, trying to get people aware, and our clients were aware to have equipment, so we had more things. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that we know from something like this is your health and fitness and vitality and wellness is crucial. Because if you're healthy, fit, got good vitality, and you catch a foreign disease or sickness, illness, you want to be strong internally to support your body going through whatever it's going through and fighting. And I think people are starting to realize that, hence why everyone wants to do something better at home. And, we're locked down and you're seeing people out and about running, doing stuff that they've never done before because they start to understand a little bit more around the connotations behind having poor health. And yeah, I feel
what's that Mark Whippleshow comment? A stronger person is harder to kill.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that just having the right people around you, the team that are flexible, work hard, and want to be there and will do the extra things without being asked is crucial to success of any business at the end of the day.
This is perfect because you can see the similarities in the conversation. If you notice, James, you talked about having people with multiple skill sets, right? And then Michael, at the start of the conversation, you alluded to the fact that not trying to necessarily specialize straight up, but getting a dynamic overview of experiences. And you can see the parallels from industry to industry, and that is the underlying consistency, which is really interesting. And then you guys talked about people skills, or just rather people are the number one thing. But, people are dynamic. People can be chaotic. People can be unpredictable. And we can see that through this time. So what traits, what characteristics for you guys do you think are your key priorities when you're looking to hire people, work with people, colleagues, even business partners and relationships?
If I go back to my early days, I started my adult years in the forces and in the RM Commandos, and this is something we focused on heavily. It's all about team dynamics. It's all about specific personalities in stressful and arduous environments, and being able to complement each other and work together as well. And, it's not necessarily the most exemplary human beings that work well as a team. It's actually the people who are cohesive and bond together that actually achieve more, because you are the sum of your team basically equals your success. So, for me, it's been something I'm extremely interested in. And a good book to read, which Durham McInnes put me onto, is The Culture Code by Dan Coyle. That's a great little book there, which goes into team cohesion of the most successful teams in the world. Navy SEAL Team 6, it goes into some basketball teams, it goes into a whole range of different things. But for me, it's such a complex dynamics of different personality constructs that need to be facilitated and managed. And I think that a good leader at the head of that, who doesn't micromanage and demand things, but just is aware of different people, their behavioral styles, their communication, and is able to facilitate those people to come together, and you've got an unstoppable force.
Yeah, probably can't add too much to that. Cohesiveness in that, like, I guess that camaraderie together. There's going to be a commonality, but then having someone who is a leader that does exactly the same as everyone. So my example goes back to the All Blacks book. And if you've never read that, it's a great read on their winning culture and why they're so successful. It's that normally what happens is the younger players coming through a system or team are the ones that have to do all the grunt work for the elders. Like in American football, you hear of it. It's like they make the young rookies take them out for dinner and they make them pay for these exorbitant meals and things. But in the All Blacks culture, it's after the game, the captains, the older players, the leaders of the team per se are actually the ones cleaning the sheds up, doing the grunt work and leading forward with like how we as an organization or team work together. So I still clean my gym every week. I still clean the toilets. I still do all the things that is required of any of the team and coaches. And like, you know, I'm in there. If we expect people to train, I expect my team to train. So if I expect them to train, I've got to train. So you've got to have the cohesiveness and the leadership coming from someone that you want people to sort of be like, but then you've got to allow for individuality. So people have to have their own niche within the scope of that cohesiveness and bring together. When you mix it together, and it takes time, you have to go through process. Sometimes you think someone might be perfect for your team, and that's not always the case. And they'll find that that person may leave, and eventually you'll get there because you start to, you attract the people that want to be around you. And so similarly, most likely they've got similar traits to you, and that's the environment that will grow and foster around the people that are there. And then once you have that powerful team and you have a unit that works together, it's really hard to stop. Momentum will come, and it's really hard to stop that development. And you'll find that once you're in that environment, you don't want to leave it because it's really hard to find. So but it takes time.
You know, Mike is actually probably one of the best people I've met at building a strong culture as well. And like I said, I've been in a lot of different environments over the year, and it's not often I give Mike a chuck up or say anything positive about him. Gives him a big head. But one thing I've noticed, because we worked together for a number of years at GW Performance, and, you know, obviously kept in contact and seen what he's doing with MFP. Mike has a rare ability to be able to build rapport and buy-in with people as well. He creates an atmosphere that, you know, people around him love to be a part of as well. His personality is a testament to, MFP is a testament to his personality. Obviously, he's got co-directors there now, but, you know, he's raised that thing himself and created a really strong culture and community there, which is probably why it's so successful.
How have you been able to do that, Mike? How did you build that?
Oh, thank you, James. It's really kind of you, considering you were bantering me out before offline when no one was listening. I appreciate that compliment, and I'll take it. I mean, I always just reflect back to what I did when I was coming up as a young coach and what environment did I actually want to be in. So one of the examples I can give was I got the AIS placement. So they give out one placement S&C every year, and I won that, and I went up to the AIS pumped. Best thing you could probably get coming out whilst you're still at uni third year when they used to have it. And I went up there and I was super excited for the opportunity to be in that environment, because I sort of saw Institute as where I wanted to go at this time. And I got up there and it really come back to I know how hard it must be for people at times when you have young coaches and people come in all the time, because it's every year for them. It's the same process. And there's some really good people out there. And I felt like I just went and put in as much effort to go to any opportunity I could. So if there was a 5 o'clock session, I'd turn up to the 5 o'clock. If there was a 7 p.m. that night, I'd go there, whatever they were doing. If they were just doing recovery, if they were doing a field session and I could sneak along, I would go to anything that anyone would let me go to. And then you end up becoming sort of friends with one of the coaches more, and I ended up becoming friends with and learning from a coach up there, Lou, and she she's actually a professional athlete herself in rugby. And so from up that, and she actually then invited me into all this back end stuff, which you normally wouldn't get to do. And for me, I was like, oh, this resonates with me. Like this relationship that you have with a coach and someone you're working with and helping. How can I foster this? So then I had to look. The next year, the VIS placement was up, and I went for that. And 7 of us got it. And after 3 months, there was only 2 of us left. So it was the worst time you could ever get the VIS 1-year internship because it was a transition point. So they lost their head honcho, D Jennings, and then they brought in their new guy, Harry, from the UK. But there was like a gap in the middle where neither of them were there. And then when Harry came, all the coaches were so focused on keeping their jobs and like showing how good they were so that they could be a part of the team with Harry, that if you were an intern, you were just down the bottom. So for the first 3 months, we basically were in the gym just cleaning it, standing around watching and asking questions where we could, but no coaching, no direction of programming and learning. Got past that 3-month hurdle, there was 2 of us left. And then the coaches opened up. And I don't know if that was a test or what it was, but then they opened up and we started to learn a lot from them. We got to coach their athletes. They give us opportunities to program. And so I took from that experience, it's like, what sort of environment do you want to work in? And it's like, from both of those instances, instantly it's the time where I'm collaborative with the coaches and the people in the team, not necessarily when I'm by myself or just trying to like feel like things are sort of dictated at you and told. So the word boss is banned from our gym. There's no boss. There's no bosses. I don't believe in that word. No one's the boss of anyone. We work together. We're all trying to do the same thing. So team ethos and team MFP is what we sort of brand, and it's part of our philosophy. It's part of our 4 Ps of our pillars. So pact, performance, precision, and power. And so it just ethos down from those experiences. And I wouldn't have had them and if I didn't stick it out and go through those processes of not enjoying something to then enjoying it. And I think that's a crucial part of your development.
That's a great story. I think there's a lot of little nuggets in there. I'm like, which one do I want to dive down? But I think testament to you, Mike, is that you kept going. There's two of you left. Like nearly everybody else left for whatever reason, right? But you and another person remained, and I think that's a lesson in life. And it's like you're eating shit for a little bit of time, and you got to go through that to get to the other side. And you got to the other side, and then the doors opened.
Yeah, 100%. You have to sustain yourself through bad times because you've got to look for the gems that are around, and you have to be able to work hard and push through some things that you're not enjoying as much to get there. And it comes back to your work ethic and what you truly want. And then I believe that was instilled from me because my mum made me get a job when I was 9 years old. So I was a paper boy with my brother so we could get a PlayStation 1.
Nice.
So I sort of was used to working from a young age. And I think that was testament to that learning experience as a young boy from my mum. So, which is hard to get these days. Like I've got athletes and their parents do everything for them. They're 16, 17 years old. So they've got to learn different elements there that probably we have to find other ways around it.
And the S&C industry is an extremely competitive industry. You're going to get knocked back more times than you're actually going to get accepted.
Yeah.
There's so many people applying for so many roles. And I suppose this brings us on to the whole regulation of wages and internships versus paid work and things. That's probably a bit of a hot topic to discuss right now as well.
Well, let's discuss it then. What do you keep going, James? Like, what are you thinking and feeling in regards to that?
All right, so it's been a topic of contention for quite some time now. I mean, there's this element of you've got to gain experience in the field to be able to work at the top level.
Right.
But also you've got to be able to pay your bills as well because, you know, most people finishing a degree, 21, finishing a master's, maybe 23, 24. they're sort of too old to be living at home and do need to branch out and start supporting themselves and moving through life. But if the model that we currently have is the baseline, you're looking at 5-6 years plus a postgraduate degree before you can even get a look in at a semi-elite level to start working your way up through the elite sporting system. I think a lot of people have expectations that they're going to finish their degree and go straight into high performance at the AFL level, but it's just not the case. In fact, probably 2% of coaches will end up working at that top paid level in sport. And I think that a lot of these organisations, they manipulate that, or they use that against you as well. They give you this little snapshot of here's the end goal in sight. You come and work with our under 16s, our under 18s for 4 or 5 years, work your way up slowly. We're not going to pay you anything. It's just a good opportunity for you. And they rely on that opportunity selling it to you. And I think that, I just don't think that'll float. What other industries do you go into where you're not earning anything? Even as a sort of doing an internship in any other profession, you're going to be on minimum wage. You're going to be on 40, 50K at least, which is enough to sustain yourself while you're building the relevant knowledge and experience to move up through the industry. So, but then again, I also think we shoot ourselves in the foot. There are people out there accepting these volunteer positions, and as long as that happens and they're getting such an influx of CVs and people requesting the jobs, there's not much that can be done about it. They're going, yeah, sweet, we'll just keep chucking it out. Someone will apply, someone will do it. So, it's a bit of a conundrum, really.
Well, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this, Mike, but and I see one of the loudest voices on this is Christian Woodford. Like, it infuriates him to no end, regardless of what you think about him. He has a very strong opinion on trying to raise that standard, and not.
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think on it, it's like if you're an elite organisation, then there has to be some sort of remuneration. Like, hands down now, that's not acceptable. Elite organisations, they've got to have some form of remuneration in there.
Do you know what gets me is, right, we're often some of the most educated people in a team sport. Coaches don't have any degrees. A lot of the staff there won't have any formal education. Yet an S&C will more than likely have a master's. So we're some of the most educated people, even in the allied health. But we get nothing, and they get paid a normal wage, if not a minimum wage. Like, how have we got ourselves into this position? It frustrates me.
Yeah.
We're more educated. We're probably more experienced and definitely more passionate, yet we're the worst paid.
And I think we got to also look back at Australian junior sport and collegiate sport is not the same as when we look at America and go, oh, there's opportunities at college sport, at junior high schools. Like, our school system is growing and there's better opportunities coming through that pathway. But it's evolving, and we're a population of 27 million people versus, overseas we've got 500 million people, 300 million people. So when we try to scale ourselves to those models, it's never going to be the same. Like, can we get better at university level, and should there be a big influx of university sport and opportunities for coaches, athletes, and so forth, that to sort of bridge the gap of them together. I've definitely tried to push that a little bit with some of the unis around here. They don't sort of go down that pathway because they don't see it as a big market. University sport won't be sold upon like it is at college level. High school is probably our biggest and best opportunity in the next growth factors, and that's where young coaches will get opportunities, especially if you're employed at a school, you're going to get paid. But the elite sector, it really has to come down to now that as an industry, as coaches and those like leading the front, is that we can't stand for like those elite sort of level internships for free, because we know the workload is far beyond anything other than 5 hours a week. That's just your travel time most of the time. You're expected there 3-4 days a week. It turns into 20-25 hours. Plus then you want to be the best you can be. So you're spending time researching and learning so you can turn up and come in with the information. I feel like that model has to drop off, but you'll never be able to change the model at, let's say, TAC Cup level, where they just don't have the money. But there's opportunity to get experience with good athletes. So you've got to go down there. But then you have to be smart. How can you then generate income from that? You have to then take it away and have a facility or somewhere where you can get athletes to come to you, to train with you, where there's a fee involved. And I think that's where we're starting to see big shifts with the private industry booming and lifting. for those opportunities for coaches and people that want to work with athletes that are more junior sort of to college level age before the pro level. And we're seeing a big influx from parents now seeing that as a huge opportunity for their kids. And that's where we'll see our biggest growth as an industry coming forward. But the top line, the internships that are free, that say they're not low touch points, that are huge, that it's just non-negotiable now. Don't apply. Leave them if they're free, and let's keep pushing forward to get those things remunerated.
Do you think like if that message could be told to like all coaches in Australia and they could adhere to that, like, all right, we're on the path. But
know your worth. Know your worth. Value the experience that you've gained over the years and the amount of money you've spent to get there, and know your worth. You know, there are certain times, like Mike says, where you're going to have to, you know, get your foot in the door with a little bit of experience. But as soon as you start playing a crucial part to that organisation, you should be getting remunerated 100%. Know your worth.
And that's you having the courage to ask for that, right? But people are going to be afraid because they don't want to lose the position because it's good experience, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's no strength in numbers here. This is the problem, and I'm not going to get too political and mention any organisations here. We'll keep that out of the. It's not my place to do that. But what I will say is that, you know, what you notice about most other strong organisations is, look at the Fireys, for example. Their union is so strong. They're led. They're united. So whenever there's a conflict or an issue, the whole organisation comes together, backs their union representatives, and they have strength in numbers. That's something that we don't have in strength and conditioning, exercise, sports science. We're effectively lone agents doing our own thing and hoping to change the tide by ourselves. It's never going to work. We need a strong organisational body to step up and actually start taking action on our behalf and trying to regulate the industry instead of just trying to charge for courses and registration.
Oh,
what you will.
Yes.
That leads us to a good loophole into the Melbourne Strength and Conditioning Coaches Group, James.
Perfectly does.
You're really good at bridging between the next topic there.
No, but it does, because like there's so many places to go with. You guys are known for having that Melbourne Strength and Conditioning Coaches Group, you know, with over 1,000 people in it, which is an amazing thing, and like that's part of the solution here, right? But how far does this go? Does this look for you guys looking at something in the future where we turn Melbourne Strength and Conditioning Group into a, I don't know, regulating body or something that's involved in the government system? Let's unwind it though. Let's unwind it, because I think there's an important story to be told here, and James needs to get some credit with what he's done to get that group to where it is, and how much effort that goes behind the scenes that people don't understand, and the networks and the doors that get opened in order to create something that, you know, people, it's that feeling of belonging. People in that group feel like they belong to something, but what is it and how did it start, and the effort, and kudos to James for doing that, because it was the perfect time. And he's had to fight some battles that people don't know about in order to sort of like, where did it go? What did he do? Who did he align with? How does it evolve? But he stuck to his ethos and his morals, and that group's a testament to his efforts there. So I think it's important for him to unwind that story to the start and let us know about the inception and the idea behind it. Please.
Well, actually, the reason why I started that, because it was 2015 when I started that group, and I just added, 30 sort of people directly related to me because of exactly that. We were a completely independent force, all off doing our own things and off pushing our own agendas, and we weren't accomplishing anything. I found that a lot of people knew of each other. There was some big personalities in the industry. No one really knew each other. Everyone was a bit cautious and competitive, and it was just a kind of a toxic way to be. We were pulling ourselves apart. So I thought, let's create a group of like-minded people. We're all united by a common passion for exercise science, strength and conditioning in some way, shape or form. That should bring us together instead of all the little infighting and, sort of tearing each other apart. So I created this group, and the idea originally was to help people get ahead in careers through networking. So bring people from different sports, different backgrounds, different interests still under the strength and conditioning umbrella, to share those and become better, but also to become united and be able to, use our united power for more. One of those things was to be able to have some big name presenters come. We had quite a few people who were interested in seminars, therefore we had quite a bit of buying power. We've had people from the States, we've had Brett Bartholomew come out, we've had Dan Baker, we've had Christian Barton, Jill Cook. We've had some pretty big names come and present over the years. And, it was great to have the education, but my sneaky little ulterior motive was networking. Bring people together, get people from different aspects of the industry all in one place and get them talking. And I was so amazed, and it was such a positive environment to be a part of. I absolutely loved it. I got to meet some fantastic people. My network's grown immensely, and I'd like to think that, anyone who's been a member of the group for the last 5 years has been as well. And it just shows that it doesn't take much. Everyone's wanting the same thing. You just need someone to facilitate that. I didn't take charge. I didn't dictate. I literally just put it out to the group. What do you guys want? How do you want me to go about it? And then I was just a facilitator. Everyone else in the group did most of the work. They were really enthusiastic about it and really positive about it as well. It started to get people working together as a unified force, as opposed to slamming each other down competitively because they were trying to get the next best role. And I think, I haven't been doing my due diligence because I've been very busy with work for the last year or two, and I've sort of really let the group slip and haven't had much to do with it, which is why when, Mike and I were chatting maybe a month or so ago, and he's in a good place right now and has some great ideas to facilitate the group, it was a no-brainer. I think he wants to tell you a little bit about the direction. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the origins, why I started it, what it's all about. And then, I'm excited about the next chapter with where Mike can take it.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that. So the ethos of the group is really important, that it's the coaches for the coaches, and it's not just like, here's what we're doing. It's an open collaborative approach. And interestingly, just from the start, you can see just from getting a few things going that people want to belong and they want to feel a part of something, but they want to have an input. Like, everyone wants that. Everyone wants to hear their voice or have a say. But it also, we've just started some new forums and things, which is sort of starting to gain momentum. People are getting involved, really good discussions. But the way that people are doing it, it's really respectful, good information provided, and there might be differing opinions, but people aren't just in there trashing people, which is what social media has turned to these days. It's just like, whether you trash someone face to face on their story or on their feed, or you might trash them behind a closed door with your mates. Not that it's not a bad thing to discuss other people and what they do, and to form your opinions and to debate against what you don't believe in and find out the reasons why. I think it's important and it's good to have. But the way in which we do it is sort of shifted too far, probably, to being too negative, and we need to create good discussions around topics that can be mediated to help us form better opinions and understand ideas. So what the idea now is to sort of start bringing the group back together with information sharing. And you've got a lot of really good people in the group who have a lot of information and input, and are very active in sharing things on social media. So how do we manifest that to not become something where you're still just promoting people's businesses or their workshops or events? It still needs to be regulated from that perspective, that it doesn't just become a marketing tool to other coaches, because that's an important part of it. We have to be able to stand for something, and what that is and where we take it. So James started at Melbourne Strength and Conditioning Coaches. We've done a few polls and things, and we're looking to shift the name to Victorian Athletic Performance Coaches, and that opens us up to then having speed coaches, nutritionists, potentially osteos, physios, people that are interested in athletic performance, being a part of the environment and community, because you can learn more, and it's a learning hub. And I'm sure the growth of it will allow us to then start to push to help control what our industry is doing, especially in Victoria, because if you've got a powerful entity of all the best people in your environment that are leading together, I'm I'm sure there's big opportunities down the track with that. And we'll get back to bringing the workshops out again. You got 1,000 people that pay $100. That's $100,000. You can bring in any person in the world to present for 100 grand. So pretty sure any coach in the world would want to come out. And that's not from one person's perspective, $100 isn't, this day and age for your education, that's not much.
It's very doable.
It's just about a matter of that power working as a team and cohesiveness together. But yeah, you got to have someone to facilitate. They have to be unbiased, and they have to be able to, look past and make the strategic decisions. And even being a one person won't work. So unbiasedly, I'm looking at putting together a team. So obviously I've got my team at MFP, but if I put 3 guys from my team into that team, instantly it's biased.
Yeah, of course.
So I can't have that. So I'm looking to put together a team of about 5 people who will be a soundboard, who I can discuss some of the topics with, because some of the stuff that's coming up and that is important for us to then reach out to the group around is like, how do we promote other coaches so that everyone has a fair growth opportunity? Because at the end of the day, networking's cool, but then how do we share and grow with the people that are in the community to help people get forward? Because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be successful. There's enough people in Melbourne for everyone. One coach really only needs 20 athletes to have a successful business.
Absolutely.
Individually, as a organization, you probably need more like 200, 250. So how do we then tap into the market to help people get there? And what is it that we evolve to become? I think becoming a board and power and a governing body is a bit far-fetched, but having a way that we can then influence those organizations, I think will be important versus starting out to try and become that. Whether that happens in 10 years, who knows? But right now, I think that's far beyond where we want to go as a community. I think influencing governing bodies and being involved in opportunities.
Strength in numbers, mate. Strength in numbers.
Yeah, that's where we sort of hold our values and what we can definitely have a big say in.
That is really exciting. Like, to hear the future of what could be and what is becoming is really exciting. And that's how you change an industry, right? That's how you raise the standard, by strength in numbers, one person at a time, and then bringing those professionals from across the world and giving an opportunity for everybody to upskill. Have you guys thought about hosting a list, like a live from all different coaches around the world, and getting people like that, and doing it virtually, doing like a seminar online conference?
I actually, if I was going to continue, was thinking about turning it into, instead of the big name presenters coming over, just doing it all online, moving the group online. But it went against the main reason that I created the group, which was networking. So the seminars are just they're just a lure to get people into the same room, to get them mingling, to get them talking, and to get them opening up their networks to each other. So while the seminars are great and we've had some great big names, the purpose for me was always just getting people together, building that rapport with everybody, and starting to create a bit of a community and a culture. And it just doesn't work as well online. It would definitely make sense. It would be a lot easier. You could get big name presenters from anywhere quite easily. But yeah, this is a physical group that needs to meet frequently. And, if it sounds outdated, it may, but I think the networking portion is what's going to make this group, stronger moving forward.
Yeah, it's not to say we won't have presenters in, for sure. That's definitely something of interest. But how do we promote and get coaches within to have a voice and to sort of start to promote themselves and feel confident speaking about topics and bringing science forward, to have really good discussions with other coaches to learn? So we've got a lot of good coaches in here, a lot of good people that are really knowledgeable, have great skill sets that can provide huge value to the team. And most of the people that were in there will do it people are doing it for nothing right now on the forums. We'll do live Q&As coming up. So with getting some of the coaches, and that's why I want to put that little team together with the people who sort of like elite are helping us at the moment, very active, but they're really bringing good, knowledgeable information to the table. We want to create an environment that fosters growth within and promotes opportunity from Victorian strength and conditioning, like Victorian athletic performance coaches' perspective. Because if we start thinking globally too fast, you end up down the pathway of a page that does nothing, that just has a lot of self-marketing. But we want to be a networking growth opportunity and education sort of space and discussion forum for the coaches of Victoria. Doesn't mean to say we don't allow other coaches from Australia in, although Victoria is the best state. It just means that we can foster the environment and control things a bit easier if we sort of have something aligned around where we are and where we're going to host most of the stuff.
Yeah, and I know you guys, I saw the poll you guys put up about, contemplating whether we should bring in international coaches and other Australian-only coaches. Obviously there's a lot of skill and talent, there's a lot of opportunity to network and bring a lot of amazing health professionals in. It sounds like a good idea in theory, but how do you guys think about that decision? Because, now it changes the group from maybe Melbourne strength and conditioning coaches to Australia athletic health professional something, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where you have to be careful about growth. And if we're going to have this and really keep it as it was intended with the more local networking, I think we have to start with just focus on our state, Victorian. If a coach is in Victoria and they leave, or we bring them in for a seminar, I mean, we'd love to have some of those people who are at the top of the game, so like the very best, in our network there, because they can provide high value. So if there's a really good coach who we know in our industry that wants to join the page that we know will provide value, we'd love to have those people in. But if we open up the floodgates too quickly now, we won't be able to sort of control, it's not control, but I guess direct the current group back into where we want to get going again. So I feel like you have to be careful on the numbers game, and it's not just about 10,000, but it's about 1,000 people that are really active and working hard. Because I could have 20,000 people tomorrow, but if only 5 people are putting in effort, it's useless. Yeah. I need 1,000 people putting in 1,000 people's worth of effort to really have something strong that provides what we want it to do. So yes, we want growth, but we want to make sure that we're smart and just, again, a slow approach, making sure that we know what people want to get out of it and then see what happens next. Definitely know there's scope for a bigger Australia version, but maybe that's another day, another thing that we do as a second part of it.
And the strength in this group comes from the engagement. It's such an engaging group of people, and one thing I've noticed about our industry is how passionate people are about this topic of exercise science, strength and conditioning. It's one of the most passionate industries I've ever been a part of, and harnessing that is actually quite easy. You'll find that you'll get a lot of engagement. You don't need a massive amount of people, but that 1,000 people in the Facebook page at the moment is just so engaging. Every time you put up a post, you get 70, 100, 150, comments of people chiming in with their input, and it's fantastic in that sense. And it was a really positive experience. All I had to do was really facilitate it, and as you go forward and the group sort of starts to grow, empowering other people and as part of the group to start moderating and facilitating as well as you grow things.
Absolutely. I'm just going through it now, guys, and I'm just trying to see what you're talking about, both of you, in regards to the engagement. And to see the consistent amount of people that are just posting things on different topics is definitely really encouraging. But before I keep going, because I'm really enjoying this conversation and how important it is, I think, for this industry in Victoria, I already spoke to Mike and he's good, but James, do you have to go? Has you got a hard 1 hour, or are you okay to have a little
No,
more time?
I'm okay. Yeah, I can keep going.
Appreciate that. I want to give you guys the space and time to talk about the group as much as you want as well, because it is pretty important. Is there anything in the future, I mean, you guys talked about it a little bit, that you guys are planning that you wanted to talk about, or that you're looking forward to for 2020, 2021?
I think it'll just be getting that first networking event going again. So the first live workshop will be pretty cool. I think everyone's hanging out for a live event with people. So
Right.
getting in a space with people that, you're creating relationships through social media channels because things are starting to pick back up. You like what you're seeing of them, but actually able to meet some of these people face to face and have discussions and get things going down that pathway will be really exciting. And then honestly, at the moment, it's just about getting the discussions. Like, I'm excited to learn from other people and see what their thoughts are. And I have some strong opinions on a few things, and it's always good to hear what other people are thinking about topics. And I'm open to always evolving and changing my mind around things based on what I think is important information. And I feel like we're just starting to scratch the surface, and we've got some good topics coming up, and some of the comments that are coming through are really, really, really good.
That's exciting.
I think if you're not challenging your own beliefs on a daily basis, then it's a day wasted. Everyone that has their strong opinions, but you need to be able to put them aside and try and hear other people's points, and even try and justify their points, because I think that helps you grow as a person, and especially grow as a leader. I have fairly strong opinions, but they're my opinions. I understand they're my opinions, and I'm also quite open to hearing other people's and why they're so strong and passionate about theirs as well. I love challenging my beliefs.
And look, we're going through a new phase again in our industry where things are coming back to the front again, and things are changing. So we've been hammering glutes and hammies for the last little while, and now that's shifted to everything's foot, ankle, feet training. Barefoot's coming back in. The evolving field of S&C of continually evolving and changing, and we're seeing some big. I think with social media, what's happened right now is that we're getting more creative, and people are creating things that we never thought would happen from other times. And whether that is to actually help top end performance is always debatable, because if we don't have some sort of actual research and data to prove it, a lot of times people won't say, well, that wasn't the key thing. But robustness and resilient athletes, and how we provide S&C style training to minimize any potential risk of injuries, which we know is never perfect, I think is where we're seeing the biggest changes and growth in our industry. So having conversations and discussions around these things that are happening, and getting ideas from other coaches and people, but rather than just a quick comment that's actually written out thorough, people going off, finding some research to pop into things, the evolution of the knowledge you'll be able to obtain will fast track your performance as a coach, because a lot of times when you're learning, you're dictated by what they want you to learn. And so you won't have the differing opinions on one post. Whereas right now, within the scope of this group, it's like, here's a topic, and then you might get 3 or 4 slightly different opinions, but there's a commonality between them. So you can really upskill yourself.
That's a really interesting point. Like, I find this field so interesting in an empirical, evidence-based field where there is scientific fact. You can have 2 people read the same paper and have completely different interpretations of it, because behaviorally and psychologically, we're wired differently. We see things from a different angle. And I love being able to have robust discussions with people around a topic that you think you know and you've interpreted from the scientific literature, and then them throwing a completely different swing on it. And, you gaining some more perspective on something that seems so simple. And I think, the most important thing I've done in my career is surround myself with as many different coaches as possible, and learn a million different ways or 1,000 ways to skin a cat. The end result will always be the same, but your stage through A, B, C, D will be completely different. And I love that about this industry. It's exciting.
Well, we get stuck, and it's something we teach in our Cert 3 and 4 is critical thinking and understanding biases, and understanding how we trap ourselves into things like confirmation bias, where you're just looking for information to just prove what you already know. And that's it. You're in this tight circle of just, whatever ideology that you go down. And I think what you guys are talking about is so important, because we need to be able to have open, honest conversations, which is what the group and that type of thinking will facilitate, is the open-minded ability to argue both sides of the perspective, irrespective of your ideology or emotion towards what you believe.
And this is why the group was so important initially. Everyone had those locked-in opinions.
Yeah.
They were, staunch in those opinions because they weren't meeting with the people that had differing opinions.
Right.
They weren't exposing themselves to that different perspective. As soon as we got them in the group and they were actually able to communicate and have a chat, I found people were really open to hearing other people's sides, and it started to build this different perspective of things. And that's why I think the group has been so important over the years, especially for me. I mean, I've met some interesting cats. Shout out to Dougie Boxall, the Douglet. I've met some interesting people with some really different ways of doing things, which has really shaped the way I see things as well. For me, I love to question my core beliefs. Why do I have these beliefs? Where do they come from? And why are they so important to me and ingrained? What experiences in my life have shaped me to be the way I am? And what experiences can I continue to have, or, engagement with other people can I continue to have to change those?
Exactly.
People are the most interesting thing to me. And I think that's why I sort of moved across into the field that I'm in now. It's business development. There's a lot of networking. There's a lot of meeting different people from the industry, engaging with different contractors and different manufacturing and engineers for design. And, I love that. I love meeting new people and seeing how they do things and seeing if I can apply any of that to my life and my operation.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Mike, did you have anything you wanted to touch on there?
No. I think based on the topics and the discussions around what we want, I feel like we really hammered home the key elements of what we wanted to let people understand about, why we do what we do and like the type of people who we are as individuals as well, because I think that's part of learning. It's learning about people and their stories and how they've formed opinions and philosophies. And it's really important. This is what discussing things is really important for us, and this is how we get forward by having more opportunities for these sorts of things.
Absolutely. I mean, probably one of the last places I want to finish off is, we've always had these titles: personal trainer, strength coach, strength and conditioning coach, allied health professional. That's a protected term though. But it's like a pool of different terms, and it's not like you're a doctor or you're a physio. It's like the general population a lot of the times is, they don't know, especially in this country. So I wonder how you guys pass out the difference between an S&C coach, or some people call themselves, you could be a functional medicine practitioner, you could be just a holistic health practitioner. There's so many different ways to approach this. How do you guys think about that?
I might jump in quick here, James. I was really strong early on just being a strength and conditioning coach, and I was like, nah, this is who I am, and this is what my qualification is, and this is what I want to be known for, strength and conditioning. And then buzzwords and franchise companies get a hold of things and start branding their model of training as strength and conditioning, and I was just like, basically, what the fuck? Sorry about swearing. Don't want to swear on podcasts. Like to keep it PG. No, but and I was just like, this is so confusing and so annoying, and all that hard work. Like, we go off, we get our degree, we do our governing body registrations with ASCA. We then, many of us now, do our master's degrees and whatnot, get our experience, only to then be called the same as someone who. A lot of these franchise owners don't even have any qualification. They just buy in. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was like, this is, a changing time, a changing tune. And one thing that we're pushing forward now is like being down this path, and why we say that we're more than just a niche of a strength coach, a conditioning coach, a speed coach, or a nutritionist. We're saying athletic performance, and our goal is improving athletic performance. So we're starting to now look into the term of branding our coaching and what we do as athletic performance training, athletic performance coaches. And I think that reflects the growth and where this group wants to go, because we need to stand out. We need to let people know that we're not the same as the other people that are, starting out in their journeys that might only done their Cert 3 and 4 or bought a franchise and brand that they're doing strength and conditioning, because they're not lying. They might do some form of strength training and they might do some form of conditioning, but athletic performance training encapsulates everything, every other aspect of improving the physical attributes to help your athlete perform at their sport. So for us, that's something that we're pushing strongly for from MFP. And we want to sort of continue that path. And that's why I wanted to push forward to change the name to Victorian Athletic Performance Coaches, because I want people to understand the difference between athletic performance training and what we're trying to achieve with the mental and the physical together, and sort of where our industry has evolved to.
And I wanted to give you the space there, but the thing about athletic performance coaches, right, that's definitely more specific. It's more like well-rounded, right? But even that is like, well, does this mean this is only about athlete development? Because if we look at performance, like the title of your business, like performance encapsulates like total human performance, like just as a human being too. So how do you think about like, all right, do we not even put athletic in there? Do we just keep it performance?
Define athletic, right? Athletic is just like a show or display of
certain qualities,
human athleticism. It's not athlete performance.
Okay.
So we went with athletic because of that process. We wanted it to be broad still and open up that athletic performance training can be for someone who's recovering from a knee pain that might not actually be an athlete.
Right.
You need to actually train back to your physical best to get beyond that scope of that current pain, or changing your body or being as healthy and as best you can. Because most people have an activity or hobby that they associate why they train with, whether that's running around with your kids, being athletic for them, or being athletic for your Sunday rides. You go to the gym and you do this other training, but what's the best scope for that? And athletic performance training encapsulates the idea and the holistic approach of what we do, as how we sort of improve physical attributes to improve either sports performance or life performance.
That's a really important distinction. James, did you want to touch on anything there?
Yeah, the title thing comes up a lot and has come up a lot over the years, and I think will probably continue to come up as well. Like you say, this is possibly the reason why we don't have the respect or credibility out there, is because we don't have a defined definition of what we actually are. If we were able to say we're a doctor, people understand what a doctor is and what they do. But because there's so much ambiguity around it, we go to a sports club and they go, oh, you're a PT, basically. There's no distinction between the two. And I think what needs to happen in this industry is there needs to be a designated definition for what we do, which is probably exercise scientist based off a bachelor's degree. And I think that is a broad spectrum, and that does encompass a lot of different roles that you may play. But a doctor's a doctor. They may be a cardiologist, but they're a doctor. Everyone understands that. I think we need to have a uniting theme, which would be, we are an exercise scientist. We need to start pushing that same thing so that when we go to a new organization, people are like, oh yeah, exercise scientist. I understand what that is. You may have a specialist niche, but you're an exercise scientist as a baseline.
No one introduced themselves as that though, right? It's like you do a degree, like, yo, what's that? Oh,
it's not as sexy.
No.
It's not sexy, but it's
not sexy, but it explains, if you understand the connotations of exercise scientist, it explains what you do really well, but it doesn't sell it.
But I think it doesn't sell it because people don't know what it is. If we're all pushing exercise scientists for the next 3 or 4 years, people will go, oh yeah, sweet. It's like doctors don't go off calling themselves medical professionals. I'm a physiology specialist. It would create the ambiguity. You wouldn't know who you were seeing. But if everyone's singing off the same song sheet and going, I am an exercise scientist, I specialize in blah, 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 then when they next meet one, they're going to go, all right, I know what an exercise scientist is. There's now a created or a definitive role or scope of practice for what you guys are. And I think this is once again where regulating bodies, not to mention any names, are struggling here. They push the higher level, the rehabilitation specialists, the EPs, but they don't actually push exercise scientists. We're a grey area where you're a transition degree into physio, into EP, into whatever else you're going to do. And I think that discredits us completely. We need a strong theme. We need someone pushing exercise science, and we need that message just constantly being delivered so that people understand what an exercise scientist is.
How do we change it? What do you guys do? What do we do?
Power and numbers. No, we just got to. It's again, you got to be smart in your approach. If you come out and just start bad mouthing everyone tomorrow, then all that hard work to get to where we are right now, you're discrediting it. And there's a lot of hard work that's been done to get to where we are. Think back 10 years ago, there was 10 years ago when it was all starting out, there was nothing. So you have to have something to continually grow. And if we're not trying to evolve what's currently there, then it's foolish if we just sit here and do nothing. And that's how humans have evolved. Like, look at what we can do now, technology. 50 years ago, you couldn't do this. 40 years, 30 years, this was non-existent. So it's just the nature of humans wanting to evolve and do better. And that's why we challenge ourselves to continually evolve and to find new strategies and ideas and to push forward. And organizations that are newer versus organizations that are older will take time to find their feet and where they really truly fit within the scope of everything. And I think it's just we've got to keep fighting the good fight. We've got good people that are leading that charge at the moment, but we need to be smart in the approach and have some humility and be a bit humble at times, and not just too full on and forthright in our discussions and approaches, and actually reach out and work and try to work with the people at the top, because it's one of those things. If you've got friends and people you like and you get to a position at the top somewhere, you're probably going to pull someone along with you because they have a bias towards what you currently have. And if we can create the next threshold and the next wave and come together and form different opinions and work together and then keep evolving that, I think there's opportunity for us within our industry to help improve and evolve what's there. And it's not that it's bad, it's just that it can get better, and things can always evolve and get better. And that's why technology gets better every year. We can always continue, and that's our mindset that we have to continue with.
Okay. How do you guys go ahead, James?
A good book on that, if you're interested in the cognitive revolution, is Sapiens. I just finished it recently.
Love it. How good is that?
Absolutely unbelievable.
How many knowledge bombs are just like, what? That's what
I think every 2 pages I had like a whoa,
yes.
mind expanding experience from that book, and it's just it's an absolute field of gold nuggets for our cognitive revolution and industrial revolution, and agriculture, all that sort of stuff. But particularly the cognitive. How did our species come to be what it is now? Oh, mind blowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we need to respect it, because at the end of the day, like, people that discredit the work and the efforts that have been done by others before us, you can't, because you wouldn't be in this position with the thoughts you have without it. Yeah. And so you just have to keep working hard to make a change. And I think power in numbers, but you have to do it smart. So how we do it, and that's why it won't be just like tomorrow we come out and say, we've got 1,000 coaches, we demand change. It can work, protests and riots can work to a degree, but it creates disharmony, and then you end up fighting against other people too much. So you need to find another strategy in this environment, because it takes a bit of time.
But we have good hope, because if you think about it, and drawing reference back to Sapiens, we are the sum of genetic evolutions at every single lineage that we have to be more successful than the last generation in the environment that we're part of. This is why we're so dynamic, and why we're able to actually shift our environment to match us. And we're the first group or first species on the planet to actually change the environment to suit us. Every generation, we evolve slightly more. We're that dynamic in our cognitive abilities that we will always be moving forward and becoming a more superior or more successful version than our dads, than our granddads, and our great-granddads.
That is the aim, and that is the pursuit, right?
Definitely.
The last thing, we talk about S&C and PT. How do we merge that, right? How do we correspond that education together? Because OFIC, as we train, we prepare the students to be do the Cert 3 and 4 and become coaches and personal trainers. But then there's this S&C over here that can be pretty daunting. How do we merge those two education blocks together?
It's really tough, because at the end of the day, there are governing bodies in place for those regulations to regulate those industries. So it's like, Universities have to meet certain criteria with the students in order to allow them to have the qualification. Cert 3 and 4, you have to meet certain criteria. So I think it's about the next wave of external opportunities within mentorships and growth opportunities that we're seeing happening now is the private industry in Australia is lifting up, and then all the companies within that scope are now starting to bring out their mentorship programs, which aligns with their systematic approach to training, I guess, S&C in a group-based environment or one-on-one environment, and all the gaps of information that we've missed or we felt like we really wish we had early on in our careers. And that's where our big next step. And I don't think that I think the problem is that you're not just going to come in tomorrow and say that you don't have to do Cert 3 and 4. You can go do one of these mentorships and that's your qualification, because that's the framework that's been set as part of it. But it's about integrating the two together. Because
Absolutely.
At the university, you have to show, like, a lot of people bag out on university, but at the end of the day, it shows a bit of work ethic and a formula that you have the capacity to self-learn and to put yourself in a stressful situation where you have to hit tasks, complete the tasks, and come out with a minimum quantity of knowledge to showcase that you know about topics. What we do know, though, in our industry is that the biggest issue is the practical side of it. And I think that reflects back to the coaches then actually themselves spending time going in and doing the craft. So big emphasis on them actually training and actually doing all the stuff that they are going to try and get people to do when they come out on the other side. So not just taking up the knowledge, but also taking up the physical side of it. And I think that's where we need to push the students at that level. So Cert 3 and 4, I don't think will change fast. I think we're going to get better providers, better people involved in those, in that environment, and then linking real world mentorship programs from private practice S&C facilities into a curriculum style, which we're seeing. There's some really good ones out there right now, and there'll be more coming, because that's the information that we know we didn't get, and we want to package back for the students and the next wave of coaches in order to help them get a step ahead of us realistically, which leads us to then them being better than us at a younger age, and
which is good.
Us being the next gen of old ones that try to have our wisdom and our say, but we have to let the next generation come forward.
Absolutely. That's a positive outcome. Is, like the 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds of the 2020 are like the 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds of like 1990s, right? It's like that evolvement. I want to give you. Do you guys have any last? We'll finish it here. Just be respectful of your time. Do you guys have any last thoughts, asks of our audience, or just where people can find you guys?
Just on that last topic, I did my PT course before I did, any tertiary education, and I got stuff out of that I didn't get out of my degree.
Of course.
Your tertiary education is theoretical. It gives you the underpinning principles of philosophy or physiology and anatomy, which you go into great depths of that. You understand the physiological processes of everything. But in my PT course, it was much more engaging. It was much more based on dealing with human beings, practical application of coaching. I think that, both things do what they do very well. I think that a Cert 3 and Cert 4 is very focused on people, engaging with clients, actually being in a gym, actually communicating, building rapport, understanding how to communicate properly to people. And I think that the tertiary side of things is very geared at research, understanding the principles at play or the underlying principles at play. And look, you need to have those building blocks of physiology and anatomy and an understanding of how to manipulate the variables to stimulate adaptation. But they teach you absolutely nothing about being in front of someone, building rapport, and actually coaching. And, whatever way you need to go about it, I think a Cert 3 and a Cert 4 is really good at that. A mentorship, it can be really good at that as well, but you need to have that aspect which is missing from most tertiary education.
And I think that's actually a good thing, because if that was perfect and then you came out of your tertiary education and you were like ready to walk into a elite team and be an elite coach, then there would be no more opportunity for the rest of us. So having opportunities to then and the right mindsets go out and find more education, because like, you get enough information from 3 years, but we've all done uni and we all know that you could easily spend a lot more time studying stuff, and you can spend more time on perfecting your craft whilst you're at university, but you're also enjoying yourself because you're in your early 20s. You need to let that time also allow to be a young human and enjoy yourself. If I look back now, the one thing I would have done is I would have most likely, if I had the mindset I do now, take a gap year, work, make money, travel, 6 months work, 6 months travel, go to uni, study, enjoy uni, and then do what I did, which was go work for a couple of years before my master's. I think it's really important because you need to find where your weaknesses are and you need to fill the holes. You can't expect that you're going to come out of one course or one university degree or one Cert 3 and 4 and be ready to go perfectly. It's an evolving process, and that's why I don't think that they're bad, and I think it's actually good because it allows other business to come forward from it and opportunities for people external to it. But you have to have some underpinning knowledge and some pathway within that, and I think that's why they won't change. And it's not that they should, but the stuff around it and what we provide is going to be better. Whereas in the past, PTs used to do a Swiss ball certification or a box fit, but they weren't a boxing coach. Now they're looking at, strength training workshops and events, strength and conditioning, speed. They're looking into different elements of the industry because it's evolved. So I think it's actually not a bad thing because it provides other opportunities for people.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask, because you brought up, Mike, you said something you tell your younger self. James, what would be something you would tell your younger self, or just like PTs and coaches just starting out? Something you wish you knew?
Probably similar to what Mike said. Life experience is what is going to deem whether you're successful or not. Your industry doesn't matter. If you've exposed yourself to as many different cultures and experiences in life as possible, you gain a wisdom that you can't learn through staying in one suburb and growing up in the same place. When I was 19, I jumped on a plane, flew to the UK and joined the RM Commandos. I served over there, and during that time I moved from country to country. I lived in Norway, I lived in the Middle East, I lived in Europe. I lived in the States and the Caribbean. I spent 7 years pretty much traveling the world with a pretty unique group of individuals and being exposed to so many different, environments and so many different situations. And I came back and it's priceless, travel, see the world, indulge, go invest in as many different cultures as you can. Just broaden your horizons and gain a perspective on life, because when you come back, you'll be hyper focused and you'll have skills that you can't learn and no one else will be able to develop, and you can apply them to absolutely anything, and that's how you'll be successful.
Yeah, I can't harp on the gap between unless you're going down like the pathway of which is printed for you, physio or EP, but between an exercise science degree and a master's, if you can give yourself a couple of years to get some real world experience, and whether that's some traveling and or work, it'll allow you to grasp more concepts from it and get more out of it. Because I feel like the master's degree actually was really good. I felt there was a lot of really good stuff that I took out of mine from ECU. So shout out to them and their team. And I know the other ones in Australia are really good, but I feel like it was better that I didn't go straight into it, because after 3 years of study, you are kind of like overstudy. It's like I've been studying my whole life up to this point as a kid, really, primary school, high school, university. Taking a little bit of a break away, I think, is crucial to your development as a human. And that's where you can go off and learn a lot of different skills and things and find other experiences which you can then bring back to what you want to do next.
Absolutely. Look,
Awesome.
Guys, hopefully we can do this one day in person. I'd love to chat to you guys in the future, in person one day. And to put out there, if you guys need help, assistance, is there anything we can do, as whether it's an individual, me, or as a company, Orphic Education, having access to hundreds of, in the future, thousands of students, then we'd love to be a part of it and help you guys out, spread the message and strengthen those numbers and get quality individuals, helping to network and bring people over and facilitate conferences. Whatever you guys need, just let us know and we'd be happy to do what we can.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for today. It's a great convo. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Is anywhere people can find you? Anywhere you guys want people to go?
Mine's on my picture already.
Yeah, very good. Love that.
Never miss an opportunity to market.
Absolutely. James?
And guys, if you need, exercise equipment designed by strength and conditioning coaches for strength and conditioning coaches, Iron Edge. Everything, our entire team is exercise, sports science, strength and conditioning coaches. We heavily gear all of our equipment to what we see the industry needing and specific requirements of the industry. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, we've got a lot of stuff in stock. Hit us up.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Guys, that was James Russell and Michael Crichton. I'm going to put on the screen for you guys. Make sure if you're a strength and conditioning coach that you guys join their group, which is Melbourne Strength and Conditioning Coaches, which will change in the future, I'm sure, as we talked about in this conversation. For those who don't know, Orphic Education, we are a company that deliver certificate 3s and 4s in fitness. Our mission is trying to creating and delivering the most comprehensive, detailed, high-level, practical, in-person Cert 3s and 4s in this country. That is our mission and something we are working very hard over the last couple of years to mold, create, and deliver. We do these podcasts every week. Orphic Education, you guys can find us on all social media. If you guys want to see these podcasts, then it's on all audio platforms. YouTube is where, and Facebook is where you can see the videos. We've talked to a bunch of amazing health professionals and coaches from across the country. And so you guys stay tuned for that. We're going to be, like we do these coaches roundtable where we talk to, guys like Athletes Authority, Woodford, Adonis Athletics, Peak Conditioning, Formidable, or the individuals like Brett B, Durham McInnes, Steph Lowe, and then soon in the future, Dave O'Brien, and some professionals from Bulk Nutrients, which we will announce soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I really did, and I look forward to talking to those guys again in the future. I'm Alexander Emanuel. You guys can find me everywhere on the internet. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. And if you need anything from us or you got any requests for guests, please let us know. Stay well, stay healthy, stay strong. We'll see you guys next week.